So here's my project 4 file, and I wanted to go ahead and show you a couple things about it. One of the first things I want to get out of the way is, since we're working with a bunch of audio in this file, I have all my audio files right here, all in its own folder. And one of the things you'll find out is when you start to export this, you may be finding out that like the audio is scratchy or whatever, but it's not scratchy in your working file. Now, in order to fix that, is you want to go to File, Publish Settings, and in here you want to change your audio stream here to, by default it's going to be at fast and like 16 or something if you're using MP3 files, compression MP3. Change it to 128 and change it to best and press OK. And do that for both of them. And turn off this little convert stereo to mono as well. Convert stereo to mono. Make sure you turn that off. And do that on both of them. And just go ahead and click OK. And that should fix that entirely with your Swift file when you're exporting it. Now, the other thing I want to show you is I got a couple different scenes in here. So in my scenes over here, Shift F2 is to create a scene. Let me drag that off real quick. There. Shift F2, and there's my scene. Alright, so I have 3 different scenes. I have my intro, my zombie walking, and my outro. This works exactly as the layers or the symbols over here. Add a scene, duplicate scene, delete scene. And that's about it. If I wanted to create a new one, there's my new scene. If I want to delete it, I delete it. So there are all of my scenes, and they play in order from top ascending order, so or descending order. The top one will play first, the whatever is in the center here. In this case, I only have 3 scenes that I'm working with, and then I have my intro, my zombie walking, and my outro. So here I just have a couple symbols, I have a couple audio clips, it plays through, nothing too complicated, and I'm going to dock this right in here. And in here then I'm going to go to my zombie walking. A couple things in here, obviously you recognize some of the, at least the zombie from the previous lab that we've done together, but with this particular one, you'll notice I actually have a shadow here. Let me zoom out a little bit. So when I play this, I've got this shadow down here. Okay. Now, how I did that is, it's actually really simple. I took this guy, right? Let me unlock all my layers. I took this guy. He had his animation all in here, right? And what I did was I basically just made a duplicate of it. In here, I right-clicked and did duplicate. So I have my zombie shadow, you'll notice right here. And my zombie alien right here. So I duplicated this layer, and then on my zombie shadow, what I did was I took them and I did modify and transform and flip vertical, and that's it. So that's how and then I just positioned it into place. So that's the zombie shadow for my zombie alien, my zombie shadow. That's how I did that. I just duplicated the layer, or duplicated the symbol, flipped it vertically, put it directly underneath them, placed it into the correct spot, and then just let it play. And that was it. Because it's an exact replica of this. How I turned it to black is another thing. Really simple. I clicked on it. In here. And I adjusted my brightness to -100%. So 100% would be white. 0 would be just what he is, and then negative 100% is just totally black. And this is the same exact animation I have in here, so it's duplicated. So that covers that. With my little advertisement animation, I thought a zombie spray might be kind of funny. I put it together with some of the other labs that we've done. You guys go ahead and do whatever you need to get this project done, how you like it, and make sure you meet the requirements. And I use the smoke here as well, the smoke effect, so because it's like a zombie spray, zombie spray. And I have a little offset, but yeah, I just did one pass on this just to sort of show you guys an example. So with that being said, I've got my audio all on their own layers, and I have them starting at different spots. So my audio you need zombie, right, stops at this point, and then I have my other one, which is my explosion here, start right when that pops open. I have all of my audio clips set pretty much the same thing. I already went through the publish settings for you. They'll always play right in the actual editable file here, the project file. But when you press Control Return or Control Enter, that's not always the case. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you. I'm going to press Control Enter. If I didn't do that, and it takes longer to export then too.
Do you have a problem with zombies? Are they leaving bloodstains in your front yard? Well then you need Zombaway, the #1 product to dispose of zombies. Only $25.99. Do you have...
Okay. So one other thing I wanted to tell you about my audio is in my very first scene here, in the intro scene, I have all these set to stream, except in this particular case, the zombie groans. It's like a 30-second clip, but I only wanted it enough for it to be like an ambient noise in the background, since I'm doing this little zombie animation, right? I set this audio to start, so it's just going to start playing and it's not going to stop, even when it switches scenes, which is what I wanted in this particular case. So even though these are all set to stream, so these stop playing, all my other sounds are set to stream, so they'll stop playing at the end of the stream here, at the end of the scene as well. And then for the one that I have called audio, my layer is called Audio Zombie Groans. This one I have set to start, and it doesn't stop at all. So if I were to play this, and I set the loop to be 0, so it's not going to loop. But you'll notice that the audio starts to overlap one another. It's kind of weird. These audio zombie groans, once it plays back, if I had the repeat on a higher number, by default it's at 1. You start to notice it starts to overlap the audio, and it can be extremely mind-boggling, because it will definitely irritate you at some point if you keep pressing Control Return and you have like a short animation that you're just kind of rewatching and rewatching to make sure you got the timing right and whatnot. Anyway, with that being said, I really don't have anything much else to go over. You guys pretty much know how to do all this stuff here. Here with this, I have this set to be the alpha. So on frame 1, it's at 0 and starting small in this position. That's using the scale tool. And then here, I just scale it larger, and I set the alpha to 100%. Here, I have the alpha set to 100% as well. It's basically just holding its own information. A way to do that, if you just want to hold like a certain thing, like in this case I have my text here, I want to let it be held long enough so my audience can view it and read it. I can do copy properties and then go to this one and then paste properties. And then on when I want the animation to pick a frame that I want it to animate and change, Then I went ahead and I just adjusted all of this, and I believe I actually just did a copy properties, paste properties here. It's exactly what I did. Um, let's see what else. I have all my layers named. It just makes it so much easier to work through your file, especially if you ever want to go back and adjust anything in a file. Um, it's really, really useful to when, especially if you're going back to a file you haven't worked with in a while, and you have like all these layers named layer 1, layer 2, layer 75, layer 163 million. Um, it becomes extremely difficult to sort of figure out what's on the layers and try to get back into adjusting the animation without having to constantly show and hide uh, different layers to see what's on it, and then you'll find yourself renaming them anyway. So just a quick heads up, um, I'm a stickler for naming everything. Everything in here is named. I like folders as well. I kept a lot of these just sort of out here. I could have done a couple more folders or bins or whatever you want to call it, like text, and these are just going to be my text symbols. So that could go in there, and these could go in there, and I could start to do a little bit more cleaning up in there. But for this is totally fine. Um, it's not that much, but if you have a library that's got like hundreds of things in it, yeah, you're gonna want to organize it a little bit more. Um, and as far as that goes, let me see if there's anything else in this project file that's a spray. Oh, looks like this was something I don't need. I'll save that. Oh, for the zombie prints, these aren't even symbols or anything. I just have them every time he makes a step. I press F6, and then I have another one up here. Let me zoom in. Okay, and I have it behind his shadow because it just looked a little bit better then. Um, and then he takes a step, and then right here I pressed F6, and you'll see in just a moment that's where his third, and I just copied and pasted it, and every time I pressed F6, so I inserted a keyframe. We'll go ahead and hide everything but that. So then here, without his footsteps or shadow or anything kind of blocking it, at this point, it just appears, right? So I'll scrub through a little bit further. And then, oh, right here, the next one's going to appear at frame 131. And then my next one's going to appear 167. And that's all I did with that. Just really, really simple F6. It's just kind of like a replacement animation in a way. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. Everything else, the fence isn't even a symbol. I like to keep my layers locked when I'm working with them. It certainly helps quite a bit, especially my audio layers. I don't like to have any art on my audio layers. That can get kind of confusing. Um, so anyway, and then obviously you can see, you guys know how I animated this. The walk cycle, you know how I animated. The spray. Oh, do I must have something hiding? Oh, that's probably what I deleted. It just, that's funny. Um, so that spray layer I shouldn't have deleted. There it is. I thought there was nothing on it because I have an open circle here, so I thought it was just an accident that I had made before that I didn't mean to include on the layer, but it's actually because the layer doesn't kick in until like frame 156 here, and then it plays through. And that's just another alpha appearing, and the same little, you guys know how I did that one. And then I had the Zombaway spray blow up the zombie. Added a whole bunch of sound effects. You guys know how to import sound file, import, and I just imported all mine to the library first. And then from the library, and just a quick refresher, audio. Um, and in my audio folder here, all you do is you'll notice this will turn into an orange line. I know my zombie audio is well long enough than that to be able to show, so there you go. But yeah, and then I've got my audio layer on there. So that's all I got for you. I hope you enjoyed the labs we did previously to this, leading up to this project. I hope you have fun with this project, and stay tuned, and yeah, have fun.